Hello, you are welcome to this lesson, and in this lesson we are going to look at the composition techniques. In the previous lessons we have looked at the definition of photography, the history of photography. We've defined some terminologies that we use as photographers. We've also looked at the different shooting modes, your camera handling, and then the exposure triangle. And I'm hoping that you have been able to practice, taking out time to practice with your camera if you have one, or your phone. Some phones have shorter speed. You can set your shutter speed. You can set the ISO. So do not give the excuse that you do not have a DSLR camera before you can practice what you have already learned in this course. In this class, we are going to look at composition techniques, some composition techniques. I'm certainly not going to exhaust all the composition techniques. I would like you to know that these composition techniques are not rules or laws that you must follow. It's good to break the laws, break whatever rules you want to break, but it's important for you to know the basic principles and how to compose an image. In telling a story, you are able to capture your audience or capture your subject in a particular way that tells or enhances the story that you are telling. Okay? So composition techniques help you to tell a story from the different types of angles that you want to do that. So what are composition techniques? Composition techniques basically mean how you have arranged or placed your subject in an image. How you have placed your subject or your object in an image. What the subject is of your story. Whatever story you are telling, the main focus of that story. How have you arranged or placed that person or that object in the frame of that picture? That is composition techniques. Okay? So we're going to look at a few composition techniques. The first one, which is like the most popular composition technique, is the rule of third. The rule of third. The rule of third basically says if you divide the frame of your camera into 9 equal boxes, dividing the frame of your camera into 9 equal boxes, your subject should not be in the middle. Your subject should always be at one of the intersections, either intersection at the top or below, okay? Not in any of the boxes. Your subject should not be in any of the boxes. Your subject should always be at an intersection. I hope you get it. Okay, so I already have a sample in this image that you see. I have nine lines, okay? And in this image, you can see that my subject is actually at the intersection of the image. Why do we have this rule? It has been found out from artists, from painters. Always using this rule helps the audience, kind of leads the eye of the audience and makes them stay on the particular image. So when you use the rule of third, there is the saying that using the rule of third makes your image more interesting, leads the eye of the audience, of the viewer, to your story. So if you want people to focus on the story, to focus on your subject, always place your subject using the rule of third at the intersection of those boxes, never within any of the boxes. Okay? The next composition technique we have is leading lines. Leading lines. Leading lines basically says you can use lines in your environment or whatever place you have found yourself to lead the eye of your audience to the subject. Whatever the subject of your story, whatever the subject of the story you are telling is. Using lines in the environment could be a rail, it could be a walkway, or a lineup of trees. You can use that to lead the eye of your audience or the viewers to the subject. So using leading lines. If you look at the image sample we have here, you have an arrangement of lights, chandeliers on the ceiling, and this image has been created to align the lights and the sides, the way the chairs are arranged, to just, it kind of flows and takes you straight to the center of the podium, okay? So when you look at this picture, the person who created this image wants you to see the stage. So it's using the different lines, he or she is using the different lines in this building to lead the audience eye to the stage. Okay, so that's leading lines. Another composition technique you can use when you are creating your images is the point of view. Point of view. Point of view is actually a technique that allows you to create an image from an angle that is different from the normal eyes, the way the normal eyes look at. Okay, most of us were standing straight, we're just looking this way. So if you want your image to be different, or if you want to create a subject that stands out, you could decide to change your point of view. In the image you are seeing here, you see the model, this picture was taken from a lower point of view. So the photographer went down and took that image from a lower point of view. And you can now see that this subject is now looking like she's as tall as the building. And we all know that no human being can be as tall as this building, okay? But the angle from which it has been taken kind of magnifies our subject and makes her look so big and taller. So most times it's advisable if you have a subject that you feel maybe it's small in stature or something and you want to enhance, you want the person to look big and bold, or you want the object, whatever you're taking, to look big and bold. This is that the story you want to tell. You can change your angle, maybe go down a little. If you want the person to look smaller or shorter, you can climb and take the picture from a particular angle. So point of view is another composition technique that you can use. The next one is framing. Framing. Framing is a composition technique that uses anything in your environment that can be a frame to frame your subject, okay? Like what we have in the sample here, a makeup artist doing some makeup on the bride, and then the photographer has captured this image from the ring light, okay? The makeup artist has a light that she uses as she's working on her client. So the photographer, instead of just going in front and taking this picture, has used this ring light as a frame to capture both the makeup artist and her client. So you can use framing. It could be your hand, it could be whatever in your environment. You have to be creative about it. It could be flowers, whatever you want to use to frame your subject and make it more appealing. Remember, all these composition techniques are just to make your images more interesting to view by your audience and are more appealing to whatever story you are trying to tell. Okay, this is another example of framing where it's like a concert and the main artist is performing. The audience are excited and someone is actually using his or her phone to capture an image of the artist. And then the photographer here has framed this artist within the hand of this particular concert goer who is enjoying the music, okay? So you can use whatever, somebody's hand, to actually frame your image. The next composition technique, which is the last for this class, is fill the frame. You can actually, a composition technique you can use is to fill the frame. There is no space between your subject and the edges of your images. You fill the subject with you fill the frame, with your subject. So that's another composition technique that you can use to enhance whatever story you're trying to tell. So whatever the story you're trying to tell, you need to know what composition technique works for that story, what composition technique will help you enhance your story at that particular moment or in whatever situation you find yourself. I hope you're able to use these techniques, and if you have questions or comments, you can always reach out using the communication platforms that are available, or you send an email to the email address that has been provided. See you in the next class.